Hey, what's up, everybody? You got myself, Renee, LOWKEY GEEK here, and you got the Wolf, Blake Wolf. Welcome to a special edition of Movie Time. This is a special Oscar ballot edition where you're going to watch us fill our Oscar ballot sheets for this weekend's show. Something that Blake and I have been doing for the past, what would you say now, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years. We've done our little Oscar watch party together a couple years now, and every time we go through it, I'm a nerd for this thing. I'll often have 3 ballots: the ones who I think will win, the ones who I think should win, and the ones who I want to win, like my own little personal favorites. I've been doing that since I was a kid, and then shortly after you and I met and realized that we had this stuff in common, we were able to geek out together.
No, definitely. And it definitely worked like when we were working together because we were the ones spearheading the Oscar pool, right, for The Office.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But yeah.
I think you were the big winner.
I think the very last time I played with you in The Office, I won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. If you guys want to join in with us, I will leave a link in the description of this episode where you could download your own Oscar ballot, fill it out, see how it compares to ours, and then come this Sunday, let's see who comes up on top. So, oh yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about the Office pool. My biggest complaint, because you did win that year, technically, yes, you definitely won. It was the year prior that I had gotten every single category correct except the short film stuff, which I don't even know if I did that year. But I was so proud, I was so cocky, and I was like, "Oh, hello, your name is Renee, my name is Blake, and I am someone who last year got everything correct on my bracket." And I came in so cocky. And then on the Office pool, and I completely bombed that year. So you never know with these things. I'm excited to get into it with you. I'm kind of going with my gut this year. That's been one of my best strategies.
Nice. Yeah, that's usually what I do. Except when it comes to like the smaller categories that I have no idea about, like short film or documentary short or whatever. Like I don't have a chance to ever watch any of those. So whatever buzz or chatter I see online, that's usually what I go with. I think it was last year when I just guessed on one of them and I got it right.
Yeah, and I'd done all the reading and the experts and listened to the podcast. The betting odds and everything, and you got that category. That was a big bummer for me. This year I've seen almost every single movie. The shorts, my plan is to watch those. They have them online or in the theaters here in New York. And then there's one one documentary and one international I haven't seen. I've seen every other movie, just like mostly by coincidence of watching so many movies last year that I checked, and I think Coda was the only one I hadn't seen when they were released from the Best Pictures, and then we got to watch a few together animated the last couple weeks. So I feel like I have I know these movies really well, but then there's the thing where you can do all the research in the world, and I kind of sublimate that. Like I'll get it in the back of my head when I'm making a gut decision. It's never really just off the top.
Right.
But I think that's funner too, rather than just going pure chalk. What does Vegas say? Because there's always upsets. And if someone is filling out with us at home, they could just look that stuff up online. I'd rather have my own little take on it, and I've got a few that we might be able to get into.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So like I said, like if you want to join in on the fun, download this sheet yourself, fill it out at home. It'll be in the description of this episode. And as always, if you like what we're doing and you're having fun watching what we're doing, hit that like, smash it, tickle it, punch it in the face, and make sure to subscribe to the channel.
Boom, pow.
Boom, pow. That's exactly what you're supposed to do there. So we went through the major categories this past week and a half. You could find all of those episodes not only on YouTube, but on podcast format as well. Just look for LOWKEY GEEK on both platforms and you'll be able to enjoy those episodes. So let us get down to it, my friend. So I'm pulling up the sheet here. So Blake, we're going to start off with you here. So our first category, we're going to work our way through the right column first, all the way to the left, and then we'll save Best Picture for last. So production design, you have Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. So Blake, what say you?
I personally think that if someone wants to go smart money, they would go Dune. My gut is saying Nightmare Alley, so that's what I'm putting on my
Hmm.
ballot. They created the whole carnival fair, that whole world for this movie. Guillermo
Hmm.
del Toro gets snubbed in Best Director, so my gut is saying that this is where that movie is going to get some love early on.
Nice, nice. I too share the same sentiment. I think when you look at production design, you can't help but think of Nightmare Alley, because of just how amazing the set designs were there. Um, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Dune on this one. I'm going to go against my gut on this one. For some reason, I feel like that is the one that's going to run away with this category. I think Dune is definitely going to win a lot of these type of categories. And
Yeah.
that's going to be like their recognition of the movie.
I have it with a bunch of the other ones, and I think this category is a good while we're starting off. A lot of them this year are very much a toss up, or there's a good argument
Hmm.
for not just one or two, but three, four, some of them five, all five nominees having a shot.
Right.
Some years it feels very much more predictable, or like, okay, it'll be this one or this one, depending on how the Academy's feeling. And if you see
Hmm.
this movie win this award, it'll definitely win Best Picture. That doesn't feel like this year a lot with,
Right.
especially with a lot of these lower um, categories. And so I'm sticking with Nightmare Alley. I could see West Side Story or Power of the Dog winning this one as well, but
Hmm.
I might switch any of these between now and Sunday officially for your and I's ballots, but I'm going on the record right now and saying that my gut says Nightmare Alley. Sticking to it.
All right. So Blake is locked in at Nightmare Alley, and I'm locked in with Dune. Cool. Next category is animated short film. So we have Affairs of the Art, Bestia, Box Ballet, Robin Robin, and The Windshield Wiper. So, full disclosure, I have not seen any of these. So, I am going simply off of the chatter I've been seeing online,
Yeah.
and that's going to be Robin Robin.
Robin, and it's on
Yeah.
Netflix. That helps with a lot of these. It's just their visibility. We saw that with the winners last year. Just mark
Yeah.
me down for Robin, and I'm happy to keep it bobbing. Moving on.
Boppin' Boppin'. That's right. Rockin' Robin. Uh, nice. All right, cool. So we are both locked in at Robin Robin. Next, we have live action short film. So we have A la Kachu, The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, and Please Hold. Blake, take it away.
Going with the short film, The Long Goodbye. Riz Ahmed is on there. Actually, this is one that I did see when he was doing his album release, which this movie was
Oh.
associated with that album release. Very powerful, very well done, very effective. Last year, he's nominated for Sound of Metal. This year, he's helped produce Flea. I think that he has enough goodwill, and this movie's high enough quality. For
Mhm.
people arguing about which ones might win, I'm going to go ahead and go with that factor, which we talked about last week. That for these short films, sometimes the celebrity factor, and just is there a name attached to it people want to go with, because that can help. Even if it's not going to be the only decider, it can help make the difference by swaying some voters and going, "Oh, I know that guy. I like that guy. I wanted him. I want to see him win." So I'm going with Long Goodbye there.
Nice. Okay. And just a heads up, Blake, I think your audio is like getting a little choppy. So just wanted to give you a heads up there. But I agree with you, not because I know anything about the movie, but it's nice to hear that Riz Ahmed is associated with this one. But it's again, I'm going just simply off of the chatter that I see online, and a lot of people are indeed talking about The Long Goodbye. So much so, and now hearing you talk about it, now I want to see it. So that's something I definitely want to check out myself. So I too am locking in on The Long Goodbye. Cool. All right. Next
Speaking
category
by
we got.
sound issues, I don't know if I'm coming through now, but if we're talking about sound.
Yes, we are talking about sound now. And in this category, we have Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. So for me, the one thing that I've always been saying when we were doing our review of the movies that were nominated and some of the movies that we saw last year, the one thing I always said was Dune is one of those cinematic experiences to watch on the big screen because of the visual effects, but mainly also because of the sound. I thought the sound design and everything was just so well done. So my pick for this one is definitely going to be Dune.
You and I are on the same page. To switch it, this is another one of those I'm going through. I would say No Time to Die and Power of the Dog. Those would be surprises here. Belfast, there's this scene where his mom makes him return the product that he had taken during the looting. That is one of those scenes that I think that they will see them play on Oscar night. And that's one of those. And then for West Side Story, if they had sound editing and sound mixing, I think West Side Story probably gets in for sound mixing. That's a perfect candidate for that category. But now that they've combined it as just sound, I think you're right. I think we have to go with Dune, which we'll get to more with music and score stuff later. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and say, especially with some of these toss-ups, I went with Dune on quite a few of them.
Nice. Cool. So we're locking in at Dune for sound. So next category we got visual effects. So we have Dune again, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home, the only category that had Spider-Man nominated. So we'll start off with you there, Blake. What do you think?
I'm going to go Dune again, and then I'll let you give feedback. This is like the blockbuster category, right? This is the one where if you like having fun at the movies, then you've probably seen these. I had a great time at every single one of these. I'm curious, especially with what you were talking about last week with Spider-Man, and should it be a Best Picture nomination? I'm curious your thoughts here, but overall, I think I'm still going to stick with Dune. It feels like Dune is the biggest moneymaker that the Oscars are also taking seriously where it's a Best Picture nominee. And I think that is, if you were to just do that math, I don't know how many times that would line up in the last 10, 20 years, but I feel like that's often the winner especially when it comes to visual effects. But there's outliers. And I'm curious your thoughts. And I'm curious what you think is the actual best one here, not just who you think will win, especially this category.
Yeah, no, definitely. So like in this category, I made the argument in our episode when we talk about best film, best picture, that Spider-Man No Way Home probably deserves to be included in the nominees, only because of the accomplishment it had last year, being this mega box office winner and, bringing people back to cinema, having that cinematic experience that everyone really enjoyed. However, what I will say, though, is when you compare it to visual effects to Dune or maybe even like a Shang-Chi, I don't think the special effects or the visual effects were anything different than what you would see for Shang-Chi. It's very that typical Marvel superhero type of visual effects that you kind of expect to see with these type of movies. But I don't see it as something that is like outstanding, like wow, like it's creating such a cinematic visual, experience when you're watching it on the big screen. Free Guy, it just looked like they were always filming in front of green screen. So there was a lot of green screen usage throughout that movie. So I don't necessarily like go for those when it comes to these type of categories. No Time to Die had some great visual effects and it looked somewhat practical, right? But I think like the one that really blew me away was again Dune. Just the way how it felt like you were on those planets. You felt like you were experiencing those weather conditions that they were going through. Even during like the big battle scenes, the way that they, and again, basing it off of the Lynch movie, how they did the shield on the armor, like was so much better and so like something I've never seen on screen before with the vibrations and everything like that. And it also created a lot of great tense moments, like when the scene when he was in the bedroom and the little needle bug came through, and how he had to be still and hide behind a hologram and all that. Like that in itself, the visual effects for that particular scene was just really, really well done. So, again, my love for Spider-Man is still there, but I think as far as visual effects, I would have to give it to Dune.
That makes sense to me. I think you're right about the green screen. That even if it's so spectacular, where I don't know, maybe we'll regret this 30 years from now, like this sentiment, but because I'm sure movies 30 years ago felt just as real, but like we're getting pretty seamless, where it's hard to tell the difference, like what is and isn't real. And then sometimes even in very real movies, they're using a lot of visual effects in those too. Just for things that you're like, why would you have to use a visual effect for that? Just to make it look exactly how they want it to. I think we're both on the same page for a reason for Dune here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cool. Next one is adapted screenplay, and this is going to be an interesting one. So we have Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog. So when I looked at this category, obviously there's a lot of great selections here. We talked a lot about Drive My Car and how much I really love that movie. I spoke a lot about my love for Coda, and I think we both share the same sentiments when it comes to The Lost Daughter. So those three were always like the top for me. However, the way I looked at this, and I'm also basing it off of what other categories we have left, if Coda does not win Best Picture, then I think at least it should deserve to win adapted screenplay, in my opinion, because I also do think Drive My Car will win a major award that we'll get to later. So my choice here would be Coda.
You and I have the same thing, interestingly enough. I'm not sure that that's the smart money. I think that Power of the Dog, I almost want to say Lost Daughter, just with like those two, the literature that they're based off of. Some other people made arguments that even Dune, because it was such a difficult one to adapt, that it's like the most difficult adaptation. And then there's the question of like the actual source text. And with Drive My Car, you're talking about Haruki Murakami, and with Lost Daughter, Power of the Dog, you're also talking about books that people had read before and respected before, and then that were adapted. So, but with all of that said, you might have some factor where those are canceling each other out, or where for Dune, they're not necessarily looking at it as a highly literary movie. I think that Coda wins. A lot of times you'll see a movie win here that's just the best story that people felt that made them feel the best. It was a effective storytelling. And in that case, it's hard to go wrong with Coda. And I also agree. I think a lot of people will want to pick it in other categories. They're not going to pick it in that category. And so they're going to say, let me give it some love at adapted screenplay. So even though the betting odds aren't giving it to Coda right now, I'm going to go ahead and say Coda is the smartest choice anyway.
Nice. So we are both locked in at Coda. Next is original screenplay, another interesting category here. So we got Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and The Worst Person in the World. So Blake, what say you in this one?
Yeah, I want to pass, but I obviously can't because I won't get credit. I listened to some experts talking about this one. I looked at the betting odds. I read up on different takes and when they have the sample ballots come out. This one feels almost impossible for me. I literally switched it to different to different options every single one of these. At some point, I moved a little X on there. Licorice Pizza because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, and oftentimes you'll get like that's kind of the Quentin Tarantino award sometimes for screenplay if they're not going to director. Belfast had that same feel good thing that Coda did. I'm not going to go down each one. I hate this pick. I don't think it should, I don't even think it will win. I'm putting Don't Look Up because I think the other ones will split those votes for various reasons. And I think at the end of the day, Don't Look Up is unique and original. They might want to give it to Adam McKay. It had a strong enough base where some people really loved it, even though a lot of people didn't like it. I think it's one of those like secret favorites for enough people. And all the other ones might split those votes. So I think it's a strong base of people who enjoyed it will give that one the win. I don't feel good about that one, and no one can make me feel bad if I get it wrong.
Yeah, I'm actually, because again, I know how much of Paul Thomas Anderson guy you are. I'm surprised you're not going with Licorice Pizza in this one. But
Okay.
I mean, I get it, because you're it. This is a tough one to choose, because there's a lot of like great, interesting arguments you could have on as to why each one would be the most popular one, the most popular selection, and all that. The way I looked at it, again, I think I just compared it to a lot of what's going on and what's happening in the other categories. We hear a lot of people talking about Belfast for so long now.
Yeah.
Like, people, some of them think this is the best picture of last year, and a lot of people are really praising Kenneth Branagh for directing and all that stuff like that. I personally don't think they're winning any of those categories, but if, like, again, I'm thinking as a voter, I may give Belfast this category, because this is kind of like my nod to the movie, that this is your accomplishment for the year, because you're not winning any other category aside from this. So my choice will be Belfast in this one.
Yeah, there's the whole thing where you can fill out your Oscars ballot based on if these things are happening in these other categories, and this will happen here.
Yeah.
I'm on each one. Because I've tried that before, but then there's times where then I get all of them wrong, and so I'm kind of just like playing the field more literally, where I'm zooming in on each one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the possibility that um, and yeah, if we're talking about my favorite, Licorice Pizza is probably my favorite. It's my favorite movie of these. My initial gut though said worst person in the world. I don't think that's
Hmm.
going to get love in international. Over with Drive My Car being right there, but it's going to be the
Hmm.
second choice. I that was my initial instinct, but then everything I read online was like, no, that's the dumbest thing. But when I saw it at the festival, that to me was the most impressive thing about it. I honestly think that might be the most deserving win.
Uh-huh.
That Licorice Pizza is my favorite. I think Belfast might be the smartest money, and yet at the end of the day, I'm still locking me in for Don't Look Up.
All right. Locked in. Don't Look Up for Blake, and Belfast for me. Cool. So let's work our way back up here to the middle column, and now we're going to be talking about documentary feature. So we have Ascension, Attica, Flee, Summer of Soul, and Riding with Fire. So I only on in this particular category, I've only seen two. I've seen Flee and Summer of Soul. Summer of Soul I actually just watched this past week for the first time, and I think if you were to ask me earlier in the week who I think will win this category, I would have given it to Flea, hands down.
Mm.
Then I saw Summer of Soul, and I was like, now I understand why people are loving this film since it came out last summer, right?
Yeah.
It was just well put together. It's one of those feel good type of documentaries. Again, someone who is from New York, it's great that there was something like this of significance that happened in New York that nobody talked about. And it's amazing that all this footage was just basically in someone's basement for all of these years until just recently when it finally was unearthed. And I loved how they incorporated a lot of some of the attendees and how they were just reminiscing about the concert as they're watching the footage and all the different artists that were involved in it. So I totally understand now why people are in love with this
Mm.
feature, and that's going to be my selection for documentary.
I'm glad you said that because my understanding was that Momentum was going that way because that had been the favorite for so long until
Hmm.
Flea dropped. But then people had been the favorite for so long, people were still sticking with Summer of Soul. That's interesting. It was the opposite for you, where you saw Flea first and then Summer of Soul and switched.
Right.
That actually, I might want to change mine when I think about that fact. But I'm going with Flea right here. Partially,
Nice.
there's the fact that Summer of Soul was longer ago. You're
Hmm.
definitely right about. There because one aspect of Summer of Soul is the celebrity aspect, which we talked about earlier with Riz Ahmed for Flea. But I think Questlove might win that competition if you just did the who Questlove's in people's living rooms 4 or 5 nights a week on
Hmm.
TV, and everyone knows him. He's the most lovable dude. Um, so that would make me think Summer of Soul. And this is a category I saw all of them except Writing with Fire. They're not dropping that on PBS until the day after the Oscars.
Uh-huh.
PBS, get your shit together. What are you doing? Please
Yeah.
just like let us watch that now. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to win. If it did, then that would be perfect timing. Otherwise, that's a bummer. So otherwise, I saw all the rest of them. My issue with Attica and Summer of Solar, they're both more traditional talking heads documentaries, which don't preclude it from
Mhm.
this category. I don't like that aspect. If when you see that we're going to a more international voting body who
Mhm.
prefer movies that are more cinematic.
Mhm.
If this was 5 years ago, I think I would go with Summer of Soul, even though I still think that maybe Flea would be more um, have have that aspect to it. I'm sticking with Flea right now. I think because of the more international voting body, because Summer of Soul is a very American movie,
Right.
and because it's less cinematic in that way, it is so special. I remember having an amazing time at the theater. I think that I'm not mad at all if Summer of Soul wins. That was a special
Mhm.
movie. I see why people are so hyped about it. My gut says this is one of those where the newer voting body might surprise us. And like
Right.
we talked about with other categories, if people say, well, I want to vote for Flea here or there, but I'm not going to, that if it is a close second, then that might push it over the edge here. Personally,
Mhm.
my favorite was Ascension. I think that one's worth a watch. It's on Amazon Prime, or
Okay.
I think it's on Paramount. Beautiful, beautiful movie. I thought it was going to be more of that talking head style, like international diplomacy, the America Chinese business relations thing. And no, it was basically a camera showing workers in China. And it was kind of like that. It felt Terrence Malick at times, like it's slow motion at times and like beautiful, but very human moments. There'd be like workers and they're just pulling giant sheets of fabric and with roses on them and like it was very cinematic, very beautiful, and there is no commentary at all. There's not.
Mhm.
It's not much of an issues movie, really. It's just showing this is what it's like in China now, and it's showing work in China. It was very interesting. So cinematically, that tickled my little like my brain that likes abstract and more experimental movies.
Mhm.
That said, there's no way that's going to win. I couldn't fathom it. I'm going to stick with Flea here for the reasons I said.
Nice. Okay. So that's Flea for Blake and Summer of Soul for me. For the week of March 21st, I'm participating with other creators on YouTube to help raise awareness of the level of humanitarian crisis happening in Ukraine. 1 million displaced Ukrainian children urgently need your help. We are teaming up with UNICEF, who will be providing humanitarian aid to these children in need. If you have the means, please visit creatorsforpeace.com and hit that donation button to donate what you can. Any amount will go a very long way. Appreciate your consideration and kindness. Thanks for watching. So, next category, we have documentary short subject. Here we have Audible, Lead Me Home, The Queen of Basketball, Three Songs for Benazir, and When We Were Bullies. So I haven't seen any of these, but Blake, you are on the clock. So what say you?
Oof. I no, I wish I could pass on this one. There's actually somebody who does. They just goes, I don't fill those out. I don't count it, and they just do their score based on the percentage they got right of the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and just put the Queen of Basketball down. Earlier, I'd heard other people saying Audible, and then I listened to a couple experts today say Queen of Basketball, and so that's the most recent thing I heard. I'm sticking with
Mhm.
that for now. I might do a little more reading on it, but you can drive yourself crazy with these smaller categories. So just lock me in for Queen of Basketball. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And, you know, if we were doing like the point system, these are always like only worth like the 1 point, right? But it's
Right.
also funny too because like if this was like an office pool situation, usually those 1 point categories are the ones that kind of like
True.
either put you on the edge or put you under, right? So it's really, really interesting. For myself, again, going off of the buzz and chatter I see online, everyone's talking from what I've seen about the Queen of Basketball. So that is what
Okay.
I'm going to be selecting in this category. Cool. So next we got film editing. So we have Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. So in this particular category, I'm not mad at any of these selections here. When I think of editing, you know, this is one of those categories where I wish we would have seen a movie like French Dispatch, or even Nightmare Alley. I thought the editing in those movies were like really, really well done. So it is kind of interesting to see how these movies were kind of selected, right? um my choices here were always going to be between Dune and King Richard. King Richard, because I think if it wasn't for the editing, it wouldn't have had the same type of heart and payoff at the end. Especially when you're going from the very beginnings up until like the big tournament win at the end there, and it kind of builds on that whole like sense of empowerment and feel good and everything like that. Dune, again, you mix that in with visual effects, and that's what made the movie, like the really nice timely editing there. So I actually flipped a coin on this one, and
An actual coin.
yeah, I did. Yeah, like before we started recording, I was like, all right, which one's gonna be? And I'm going with Dune. I'm going with Dune in this category. So
I should have flipped a coin. I gave myself a migraine headache this morning just by stressing over this one with so much consternation and clinching. And this is another one like sound where I just switched it onto my X on different ones and like thought through it some more, listened to some things, read some things. I may have psyched myself out so bad that I went with Tick Tick Boom,
okay.
because I Tick Tick checked that X box
Hey.
that mark next to it. As a tennis fan, that I haven't seen tennis editing done that well. Sports editing is particularly tough. That was really special. I'm agree with you there on King Richard. And then there's all we were talking about earlier with like, and actually right now the ballot I'm looking at says Dune, but I'm switching it for us on this video.
Okay.
There's a possibility that Don't Look Up has the same trajectory here I was talking about earlier with it being. I think I honestly, so I'm going to say Tick Tick Boom has enough favorites. It didn't get enough love in other categories that people will put it here, and just only on the politics of Oscar voting, where others split votes more, and this has a bunch of people who really loved it, and they're going to want to give it some love, and this might be the one it goes with. The amount of times that a movie has won in film editing without being a nominee for Best Picture, I think it's happened once in the last 10, 15 years. This is a terrible, terrible selection by me. I psyched myself out, but if I'm right, I'm going to dance just like Andrew Garfield did all throughout Tick Tick Boom. It makes sense to me just through that logic, but it's a pretty narrow odds. All of them though are tough on this list.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what? And if you do pull off this win in this category, you deserve every moment of dancing around, just like Andrew Garfield. I will do my best to be your second hand on that one, and be like a background dancer. Cool. Now we got international feature film. This is going to be one of my favorite categories here because you got a lot of great choices here. So you have Drive My Car, Flee, The Hand of God, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, and The Worst Person in the World. So Blake, what say you?
I saw all of these except Lunana. I missed it in theaters, and now it's not coming back to New York before the Oscars. It looks like. You can actually see there's the Call Me by Your Name poster over here. It's from Elio's bedroom in Call Me by Your Name. I want to say Hand of God. That's a big favorite of mine, and I wish it had gotten more love elsewhere. I'm going to Drive My Car here. I think that when you're Best Picture nominee and you're a favorite here, I psyched myself out a couple years ago where I think it was it Civil War and Parasite were the same year. There was, or maybe it was Roma, but there was one where I was thinking this one will win Best Picture, this other one, international movie, will win international film. And I'm not doing that this year. I'm saying whatever the smartest money is for Best Picture should also be the smartest money for international feature film. I don't think enough people are saying, because I'm voting for it here, I'll vote for this other one there. That's a narrative people use to try to explain picks or why a fluke happened. That to me seems like such a fluke. I can't imagine someone really voting that way and not based on what they think deserves to win, especially when you can see, oh, now the one that I really wanted to win didn't win because enough people did what I did. That to me doesn't make sense for enough voters to push anything other than Flea as the winner here. So lock me in for Flea.
Oh, so you're going Flea.
Flea. I'm going Flea. I'm
Flea.
not
There
psyching
you
myself
go.
out here. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So for myself,
Wait, I said Flea. I meant Drive My Car. No, do not. Yeah. Okay. I switched in my head for a second there. That's how much time I've spent in this ballot. I meant Drive My Car. Yes,
Drive My
because
Car.
it's in Best
Okay.
Picture nominee. Yeah. I said all of that.
Got
I
it.
didn't just go fuck it, Lunana.
I know. That's
Uh,
why I was. That's why I was like, Flea. You're going with Flea. All right. Well, that was a great speech leading up to your sudden
and with
change.
all that said, after years of fighting myself, yeah, no,
After
Drive My Car.
after all of that, I am choosing Space Jam 2, the international version.
I
Oh man.
wish.
So yeah, so for me, I think it's pretty much along the same thought process as you. When Drive My Car was announced, not only international film nominee, but then director and then best picture, I was just like, what's happening?
Yeah,
Like this is like the
yeah,
best thing ever, right? But knowing how stacked the best picture category is, and directing is kind of a lock right now, I think, in my opinion, Drive My Car, their best bet to win any award this evening, that evening, is going to be international feature film. I think leading into the end of last year, a lot of people were talking about The Worst Person in the World as like one of their favorite international films that came out. But
yeah,
then the narrative changed because Drive My Car just took over that conversation just
yeah,
out of nowhere. So even, and I loved Flea too. You and I, we talked about it at length in our other episode. Like Flea is such a great movie that was really well done, well put together. But again, Drive My Car blew my mind last year, and I cannot help but think like this is the one that's going to take this category. So that's going to be my
yep,
selection there.
yep, yep.
Cool. So next we got makeup and hairstyling. So we have Coming to America, Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and House of Gucci. Now, like I mentioned before, the biggest snub here is
Mm,
Dear Evan Hansen. I don't know why Dear Evan Hansen was not nominated in this category, because that would have been the sure winner,
all right.
100%, because that dude looked just like a high schooler. Really did. Um, Yeah, I'm actually surprised Coming to America was selected for this, because I thought people forgot about that movie because that was such a train wreck of a movie for me.
Really?
When I
I
Yeah,
I'm choosing it here because I was gonna put it Best Picture, but then I thought there's no way like they'll want to give it Best Picture, but they're gonna put it in makeup and hairstyling instead because it got
right.
snubbed for Best Picture.
Right. Yeah. No, and I get it, because if anything makes good comedy is rape, right? So, that's just my take on the whole thing. And if you watch Coming to America, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I watched that.
Um,
Oh, okay. I must have. Wow. All right.
the whole thing about like he was taken advantage of in the apartment, and that's how he
That's where the
got.
sun comes from. I saw that movie.
Right. Yeah.
I think we're over a year ago now,
It's
and
a long time
yeah,
ago. Yeah.
goodness gracious. I'm glad that Coming to America is getting some love. That I'm glad they made it. I'm glad they tried it. I'm
They
glad it's
tried.
here. I'd
Yeah.
kind of forgotten that that existed. Okay,
Yeah. No, they tried
glad
for
it's
sure.
here.
So I think originally I was going to select House of Gucci in this category.
Um,
Then I finally watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye this week,
uh,
and my God,
yeah,
the way that they got the hair and the makeup and how they got Jessica Chastain to look just like Tammy Faye, and the constant changes throughout the decades, and how she was evolving into this caricature of a person because of like her hairstyle and her makeup and everything like that. They did such a brilliant job, and I think after seeing that movie, I was like, there's no way I couldn't go with that movie for this
yeah.
category, because I think that's what made the movie. You had to believe that this was her, and they really made me believe it. So I'm going with Eyes of Tammy Faye in this one.
Yeah, when I left that movie, I said Jessica Chastain needs a nomination for Best Actress. We'll get to that later, and that
Hmm.
movie's going to have to be a favorite. I almost locked it in, leaving the theater, and that was what fall, late summer, fall last year.
Hmm.
I wanted to say House of Gucci, the fact that it had gotten snubbed elsewhere, that it has a lot of people who loved it, and it was a fashion-based movie. But I also heard a lot of people who were disappointed in the fashion of the movie, that it wasn't enough of a va-va boom fashion movie. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's also Cruella, which is another fashion-based movie, and I think that was one of its strongest points, was the whole
Hmm.
fashion storyline for Cruella. But I don't think enough people are taking that movie seriously in
Hmm.
that way. If we want the movie people are taking the most seriously, Dune isn't a terrible choice here. But I also am going with Eyes of Tammy Faye. When I start to psych myself out is when I think about, if this was most makeup and hairstyling, it would win. And sometimes that's kind of what this category can become. It used to
Hmm.
be, if it was a period piece from 1800s England, if it's a Jane Austen adaptation, then you're going to see it here and it'll win. And sometimes you have 3 or 4 of those in this category. I'm glad that they've gotten away from that, with makeup, hairstyling, and costume design. At least to some degree, we still get to see Cyrano in the list this
Hmm.
year, and I think that's the only reason why it's nominated, in costume design. But I'm still gonna say, Eyes of Tammy Faye here. I think some people might knock it saying the makeup is bad, but they did a good job of doing a woman who put on bad makeup accurately.
Exactly.
If someone didn't
Exactly.
know that that was a real person, then they might go, "That was
Yeah.
the worst makeup I've ever seen." And then you do the side by side images. It was well done. I didn't like, Andrew Garfield's aging in that movie. I'm not
No,
sure what you
because
thought, but
yeah.
that one threw me. And every time I saw Andrew Garfield, especially older, so that's another reason why I might knock this one. And I'm currently psyching myself out. I want to switch it to House of Gucci. I might between now and Sunday. But otherwise, yeah, if we just go off the Tammy Faye part of Eyes of Tammy Faye, and the even the eyes of Tammy Faye, the makeup on the eyes alone, I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that one for now.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like the Andrew Garfield aging just looked like him just putting a little extra makeup and a wig on.
They
Like
just
it
do
just
like the,
did
the lines on the cheeks to make it look
right.
like
It's
they're
like
just,
someone just
yeah,
outlined stuff on his face, and
like
that was
Halloween
it.
costume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked really bad. But if you just base it off of Jessica Chastain, like that was the moneymaker right there. That was the one that sold me on this one. So let's see what
Uh,
happens.
I'm switching to
Um,
House of Gucci right now. Put me down for House of Gucci. I'm sorry if you already marked it down.
yeah, all
I
right,
just I
I'll
just knocked
switch it
myself out of
over.
it.
All right.
Ugh. Yeah, when I
So
think back on the Andrew Garfield one, it's like it's an SNL skit version of just they really quickly. He goes, "All right, you get me for 20 minutes, then I got to go shoot a cameo for an upcoming Marvel movie that I'm not allowed to
right.
mention."
Right. That's so true. Yeah. All right. So Blake is locked in at House Gucci, and I'm sticking to Eyes of
uh,
Tammy Face. So
oh,
let's
I
see what
feel good.
happens.
Please move on quickly.
So next we got original score. Here we have Don't Look Up, Dune, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, and The Power of the Dog. So Blake, what say you in this one?
Parallel Mothers might be the best score. I am someone who loves Radiohead, and so I might want to say Power of the Dog. And Johnny Greenwood also had Spencer, which might be the better score of the two.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't be mad about those. I'm going to go ahead and say Dune is the smart choice here. The one fact alone I think steals it for a lot of people, and it has to include voters, is that Hans Zimmer was creating musical instruments in order to create those alien sounds of
Yep.
Dune. Plus the fact that Hans Zimmer is a much beloved and long beloved, character, maybe of especially living composers, maybe number 2 to John Williams, right
Mhm.
now as far as credibility in that game, for film composers. So I'm gonna go and say Dune. I'm putting that down.
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing the same because again, Hans Zimmer. You never discount Hans Zimmer anytime he's nominated for anything.
Yeah.
He is like a pioneer in this industry now. Is he second best maybe to John Williams? Maybe. I would consider that to be the case because he's taken over a lot of the fantasy sci-fi type of movies and creating his own sounds and his own voice in it. So I just fell in love with the score as soon as I heard it. And yeah, Dune is definitely the number one choice for me here. Cool. Now we're going to go to original song. So we have Be Alive from King Richard, Dos Oruguitas from Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do from Four Good Days. So this category, I it was a toss up for me. because one, you have Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's, going for that EGOT, right? So this could be his chance to solidify that, right? And everyone is in love with Encanto these days. It's always on repeat in family homes and whatever have you. And then some can argue Be Alive because it's Beyonce, right? And, Queen Bey, But for me,
No.
and I could be wrong,
What?
but if memory serves me right, every time a James Bond song has been nominated, it won this category.
That cannot be right. What?
I think
wow.
so. I think
Billie
so.
Eilish, the Billie Eilish of it all. I like that. Okay.
I think so. So I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I am wrong. But I feel like that was always going to be the huge contender. So I'm going with Billie Eilish, No Time to Die in this category.
Fascinating. I love that you're doing that. I know some people are shitting on it. I like the Billie Eilish of it all. I'm a sucker for anything Billie Eilish does. That whole sound and feel is great. The Beyonce is also, I think she wins outright in the popness of it all. If you were to just put those two head to head, that's not close. I think we go with Encanto for Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm going with the smart money on that one. Not only is it Lin-Manuel Miranda, he did a lot for Hollywood in a tough year this last year, between Tick Tick Boom, Encanto, and In the Heights. All three musicals, and so I think there might even just be the credit of give that one to Lin-Manuel Miranda, who even on just like the Hamilton of it all, there are so many different versions where they're like, how do we give this guy an award? And we saw that, I think it was with Adele when she has her album. They're like, okay, the Grammys are going to give her the awards. Can the Tonys? How does she get a live performance recording somewhere? And then that was on TV, so we're going to give her an Emmy. Like every now and then, you'll just see someone get coronated in this way. I'm going to say Lin-Manuel Miranda. This is a good chance for him to win the Oscar. Plus, you just have everyone's kids are going to be singing at them while they're filling out their ballots and putting that on repeat. So unless there's just some real backlash to them being burned out on it, I think that that one's gonna win. And I'm definitely gonna double check this Bond statistic because that would be amazing if they're all nominated. I don't know. It's such a, because they always get great singer songwriters of that moment to do it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of amazing Bond music. I actually listened through a whole playlist of Bond themes the other day, and I was like, this is another banger, song for song. It's a great playlist.
Yeah, and especially when you have like a Bond movie that comes out every 4 or 5 years. It doesn't come out that often, maybe even longer than that. I feel like they pay so much attention to the theme song for that movie or whatever major song it is that you only hear at the very beginning when they're playing the opening credits, because that's such a Bond staple nowadays, right? So that was just my gut feeling on it. I would agree with you if the song that chose was We Don't Talk About Bruno. If it was that song, then I think that would have run away with this category for me. But I went with what I went with, so we'll see. All right, now we're gonna, let's skip on to costume design here. So we'll save some of the bigger categories towards the end here. So for costume design,
if I can, just to preempt the comments, I'm so sorry, Renee.
Yeah,
so we've got a few Bonds that are nominated, and we've got a few that win, and it's definitely not down the line, because there's been 23, 24 of them. That's just would be an amazing world to live in. But before anybody comments, I'm going to go and say, Renee, I have your back no matter what. People, I dare you to pop off in the comments. I feel like that's something that I heard at some point in my life too, and I'm really mad that I looked it up, because that's the world I want to live in, is where every Bond song just hands down wins the Oscar.
It could be another situation like Bernstein Bears or Bernstein Bears, right? So maybe this is
maybe it did happen. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but before we continue, I wanted to quickly talk about Bulletproof Coffee. Bulletproof Coffee is my favorite coffee of choice to start off my mornings with. Why? Because it's clean coffee. What does that mean? Well, one, There are no chemicals in it. Why? Because they go through this multi-step process of making sure that all of their beans are fully clean and free of any chemicals, so that when you get the beans delivered to you, it is the pure beans, the pure coffee, the goodness that you've been wanting, the taste, the flavor, and the nutritional value as well, without worrying about any added chemicals or anything else put into the mix there. It also doesn't have that weird acidic taste that some coffees give you. I don't know how about you, but for me, some coffees kind of give me that weird sensation in my stomach, makes me a little burpy, and it kind of drags me down a little bit instead of really waking me up, which is something that I need from my coffee every day. Bulletproof also offers a lot of keto-friendly snacks and supplements, anything that you need to kind of add to your everyday nutritional needs, add to your diet, and make you, and pretty much transforms the way you feel every day. So for a limited time, if you use this code on that you see on the screen right now, LOWKEY GEEK, all caps, one word, you can get 15% off your order. So what is it better than that, right? Check out the link in the description of this episode. Use this code, get yourself your discount, and make your mornings a little bit more bulletproof with Bulletproof Coffee. Now, back to the episode. Cool. So let's kick into costume design. So we have Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. So I believe I go now. So I think what you were referring to as far as makeup and hairstyling, especially mentioning Cruella, I think Cruella is a perfect fit for this particular category, because that's basically what the movie was about. It was about the fashion. It was about the glitz and the glamour, or the uniqueness of it all. And I do feel like that's that's really where that movie stood out. I haven't seen Cyrano, because again, it's just hard to find a showing of it. Dune, even though the costumes fit with the movie, it's not something that's like outstanding, right? Nightmare Alley, it really did fit the era of the period that they were trying to tell the story in. But again, it didn't really take me aback, or it didn't really like scream at me like, wow, this is fantastic. West Side Story, again, same situation, it fit the period and everything like that. But my choice here, because of just how unique everything was within the movie, is Cruella.
Yeah, and you're right. Earlier, I was thinking of costume design even more, especially for Cruella. And this is the kind of category where we'll see a movie that's more niche, that doesn't have a lot of other awards, where that the voters will still go with that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, that's the only box I apparently hadn't checked on this one. I looked at it and go, oh no, now I have to make a quick split decision. So I'm not going to do my full neuroses live here. I'm going to go and knock off Cyrano and Dune. Nightmare Alley, I want to say that that's what I would choose for it. And especially seeing Bradley Cooper's character go from up and coming dude at the carnival to Mr. Bow ties, and basically there's so many different worlds that it's inhabiting, and they nail the costumes for those. And then at the end, when he does this pure fall from grace, and he's back to that carny outfit, and having both sides of that is pretty impressive. I want to say West Side Story. I'm especially thinking of the dance number, when you actually have they're color coded. The costumes are. Yeah. That's a very special moment. You've got the Jets in the blues and the grays and the beiges and the browns, and then the Sharks with they're more colorful, and the reds, pinks, oranges, things like that. Like those some touches there. It's a period piece, which helps that one a lot. Cruella is as well, and it's a fashion-based movie. There's the Vivienne Westwood of it all. I'm gonna go with Cruella. Put me down for Cruella. I'm gonna stay up. I'm not gonna sleep for the next couple nights thinking about this category alone. Apparently I skipped it before. Put me in for Cruella. I think that's a smart choice. That feels right. And I remember when I left that movie, that was the feeling I had, was that was really cool, and the best thing about it was that aspect. Fashion being essential to it too. That feels right.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So we are both locked in at Cruella. So next is cinematography. So here we have Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. So Blake, what goes you?
I'm going to go ahead and just say Power of the Dog here. I think we're at an elite category, and that is one of the things that movie does best. I think if it's winning Best Director, Best Picture, it makes sense there. In a world where it doesn't win one of those, that this might look more foolish. But I think I'm going Power of the Dog here. I personally might go with Tragedy of Macbeth. This might be a good place to give Steven Spielberg some love for his amazing cinematography in West Side Story.
Mhm.
Some people loved that about of West Side Story. This might be a good place for Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley to get some good love. Dune I could see any of these. I might switch it over to West Side Story between now and Sunday, but for now I'm going with Power of the Dog. That feels like the smartest choice with it having so many nominations, and then especially with director, picture, and editing. That I think that would be the right choice there.
Okay, cool. For myself, this was like a toss up between three. So basically, Nightmare Alley, I can't speak enough about that movie. I think the great thing about that movie is the cinematography. Tragedy of Macbeth, I thought the cinematography there was outstanding. Talk about like a modern art type of film. Like that is just a beautiful just to watch, even though you may not understand the dialogue or you may not understand a lot that's going on. If you're not a fan of Shakespeare and everything like that, you know, if anything, you will appreciate how the movie was made and filmed and framed, the cinematography of it all. But I'm like you. I think The Power of the Dog will take this one because, again, the cinematography was actually well done in this movie. And I think it's really what helped me like the movie, on top of like the brilliant acting. Because if you were just to look at the story alone, it's not that huge of a story. It's not like really that big, but it's because of the visuals as far as cinematography goes and the brilliant acting. I think that's really what made the movie so powerful in its way. So I'm going with Power of the Dog on this one. Cool.
I love it.
All right. We are now at animated feature film. So this is the one where I think, or you and I think, this is going to be a hotly contested category right here. So we have Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, Raya, and The Last Dragon. So we talked about this category in our episode. You know, I think there was a lot of things to be said about Encanto, Flea, and The Mitchells. I said it in that episode that I think for me, The Mitchells is the one that's going to win this category. And I have not changed my mind. So I am sticking to The Mitchells on this one, even though I know Encanto is right now the current forerunner for this category. But I don't know. It won the animation awards recently, so they could be onto something. I don't know, but this is just my gut feeling because out of everything that I watched, I think the Mitchells stood out as far as animation achievement of last year.
Yeah, if you're thinking about animated achievement, I think that you're totally right. I do think it's the best one. It winning those Annies. I said this because we had our other episode about this animated feature film category. I think the Annies might be, this is just my hunch, they might be rewarding that it was more innovative than Encanto. And so at the end of the day, that might be why it did so well, but it did so damn well there that people would have to take it seriously. I'm an idiot. I double psyched myself out here. I went with Flea because
Nice.
there's no way, right? All the money says it goes Encanto and then the Mitchells and then everything else after that. I didn't see one expert picking Flea. I'm picking Flea right here, right now. If that wins, I'm going to do a dance from Encanto. The logic to me is just some of the stuff we talked about earlier. People want to vote for it elsewhere. They're not going to vote for it there. They vote for it here. And then if Mitchells and Encanto split enough people who want that family favorite animated movie, and if there's enough people in this new international voting body who aren't favoring that style of animation, I'm sticking with Flea. If it's right, I will feel like a genius. I will tweet about it. I will call my grandma and let her know I got that one right, because it is definitely not the smart choice. But I'm sticking with Flea right now. It's what my gut says.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Go with it, man. Go with it, because I agree with you, because if you were to judge it based just off of story alone,
Yeah.
Flea, hands down, is the best story out of all of these. You know, it's a true story. It's very emotional, very heart wrenching throughout. And at the end, even though with all that being said, it still provide a little hope, right? And it
Yeah.
gave you like that good closing at the end. But yeah, I love that choice. So you're locked in at
I,
Flea.
it was a unique enough animated style, and I think Mitchell's could get that rep too. But the storytelling and then the taking the live action and turning it into
Mm-hmm,
animated, there was something cool about that. I don't.
for
It's
sure.
interesting to me that so many of these categories, like the niche pick, well, like I think that overall, if you ask people what was your actual favorite movie to watch, I can't imagine the majority of voters not saying Flea was what they thought the best movie was, and yet
Mm-hmm.
so often I feel like they'll go with the Encantos and the Mitchells. So we'll see. You definitely get to you. I am saying it now that I will be wrong, but I'm still sticking with my choice.
Nice. No, I love it. I love it. All right. Next, we got actress in a supporting role. So we have Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Judi Dench, Blake's favorite nominee here for Belfast,
So,
Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog, and Anjanou Ellis for King Richard. So Blake, what say you? Judi Dench, right?
Judy Dench, more like Judy Stench.
Oh,
Mad about that one still. So there's like 20 people who should have gotten in there. Listen to our supporting actor and actress episode to hear our snubs. Hear my snubs rant. I This was a tough one for me. I think Anjanou. I think I even said Anjanou Ellis that episode. I'm switching to Ariana DeBose right now. That or I could even be talking to Kirsten Dunst. I think Jessie Buckley might be the deserved winner. I'm sitting with Ariana DeBose right now. It probably helps that I rewatched West Side Story last night, and that's
oh,
the
there you
only
go.
reason. And if I were to rewatch King Richard tonight, then it'll probably be Anjanou Ellis. But put me in for Ariana DeBose on this list.
Nice. I think you and I have the same thing here because I too am going with Ariana DeBose. That's what I said in our episode where we talked about this. Yes, Jessie Buckley was fantastic, but I think she's going to have another opportunity
Yeah,
because for sure. And Kirsten Dunst, again, I love comeback stories, and I love seeing her kind of just resurface in a very great role there. Anjanou, she is also very much of the heart in that movie with Will Smith. And like what you said it better than I did. Without her, that movie could not have worked any better than it did. If you just had Will Smith there on his own. So I do agree with that, but I think Ariana, it was just so strong in her role, in her performance in West Side Story. She's the one that's been sweeping up like everywhere you go, especially in this award season. So I'm sticking to Ariana with this one.
yeah,
Uh,
I think that makes sense. I think especially if we'll get to Will Smith in a little bit, but
mhm.
that one will keep me up a little bit between now and. But yeah, put it down.
Nice. So next we have actress in a leading role. So we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for the AMC short that you see at the beginning of every movies. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Being the Ricardos. Sorry, that's right. And Kristen Stewart for Spencer. I've been saying it for a long time now. This was Kristen Stewart's category. I loved her portrayal of Princess Di up until I watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I saw Jessica Chastain's
Yeah.
performance, and I was like, fuck me, I have to change my mind now. And her performance and portrayal of Tammy Faye all throughout that movie is just phenomenal. At times, I forgot I was even watching Jessica Chastain in certain scenes. Again, I am not as familiar with Tammy Faye as you would, like, just like what you told in what you spoke about in the episode where we talked about this. But I did follow the news at the time, and I know she was on TV a lot, and it brought back a lot of these memories of when I would see her on TV. I just think her performance was outstanding in that movie. So I have officially changed my mind and my selection, and I'm putting Jessica Chastain for this category.
I want to watch the Chastain cut of Eyes of Tammy Faye where they just get rid of the whole Andrew Garfield mess, and then it's definitely winning. makeup and hairstyling, and actress in a leading role. It's interesting. This ABC ballot goes actor, leading actor, supporting, and then actress, leading actress, supporting. Besides the point, that's the official one from the Oscars, though. I'm going with Jessica Chastain as well. Tammy Faye was my grandmother. I don't know if everyone knows that. I've talked about it a lot. Okay, that's a lie. But I'm from Oklahoma. This person was like a well-known, even just this type of person. There's a question I had. We were talking about it before, that if a more international voting body would care as much about this very American persona, I'm gonna go ahead and say Jessica Chastain here. I'm surprised you would have had Kristen Stewart as your number one. I think that might be my favorite. I'm a K-Stu head. First of all, since Twilight movies, I'll defend her. I would love to argue with somebody in the comments right here, right now, about whether or not Kristen Stewart is a good actress. I had that argument at work a couple of years ago, and that person did not talk to me for about a week afterward. The break room was tense. They were saying she's not a good actress. I said she was a good actress. They said no, she's not, and I said yes, she is. And I've got reasons to believe it. I think this was a breakout performance for her, for sure.
100%,
and then there was the scares where by the end she had gotten snubbed. She was a favorite for a long time, gotten snubbed in so many other awards. People thought she wouldn't even make it to the Oscar nominations. It's hard to rule out Olivia Colman ever. If Olivia Colman looked in the mirror, it might win her a Best Actress award. Nicole Kidman's opening for every single movie I've seen as an A-list member. I've seen her in more films this year than anybody else. She had a great 2021. Whoever booked her that role, brilliant. Give that agent an extra 10%. Put me down for Jessica Chastain, though. Eyes of Tammy Faye. That was a special performance, and she's won enough of the precursor awards that I think it makes sense.
I mean, again, you're right. Kudos to her agent, Nicole Kidman, because I think that's what landed her this nomination, is the fact that you could not get away from her every time you went to an AMC showing of anything. Plus, she was also on TV with whatever show she was doing at the time. I mean, you could not escape her no matter what. So she's definitely working hard, but no, I think you and I were in locked for Jessica Chastain, and that's not a bad choice right there.
Nicole Kidman makes movies better. And even heartbreak feels good with a face like this.
Oh, and I love like this. I love how, depending on what showing you see, she's watching a different movie that's catered to that showing. I love how they switch that out. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay. Yeah, I started watching Lost World. I was like, there's no way Nicole Kidman is watching Lost World. She's watching Nicole Kidman movies for sure in her private theater. She's not putting out Lost World. That's not happening.
She's only watching Eyes Wide Shut. Over and over again. All right, we got actor in a supporting role. So we have Kieran Hines for Belfast, Troy Kotzer for Coda, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith McPhee for Power of the Dog. So, Blake, what say you?
We did it in our supporting actor and actress episode. Put me down for Troy Kotzer. Go to that episode, watch the whole thing for the reasons why. We went over each one of these. Lots of thoughts here, but I'm definitely sticking with Troy Kotzer. Definitely no need to change it now. I think that's the smartest choice.
Nice. And put me down for the same selection, because again, like we mentioned in that episode, phenomenal performance. And if Coda, again, it's going back to the whole Coda thing. If Coda was to win one category, it would have to be this, because of that brilliant performance from Troy there. Not taking anything away from all the other selections here, but yeah, Troy was.
I'll take something away from J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons doesn't deserve to be here.
Right,
I'll take something from Kieran Hines. But no, you're right.
Yeah. Very fair. All
right.
right.
McPhee was the front runner for so long. So long. And then Troy Kotzer's winning the other awards, giving great speeches for a ton of reasons. I think that makes the most sense and is the best performance.
don't definitely. And it's like what we mentioned several times before. It's amazing how the conversation changes when more awareness for something else comes about, right? Because again, Cody Smith was like the darling. They were talking about him endlessly. And then the conversation switched, right? When Coda was being spread out even more and more. So yeah, definitely Troy there for the win. Actor in a leading role. So here we have Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Tick, Tick, Boom. Will Smith for King Richard, Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. So I think the big two here is obviously Benedict Cumberbatch and Will Smith. As you may have seen in some of the comments from the episode that we're talking about this, everyone is vying for Will Smith to win, and so am I. So that is my selection for this category.
What I want to happen is for Denzel to win, to run up to the stage and say, King Richard ain't got shit on me. Like his speech from Training Day. But that's not what's going to happen.
Nice.
It's got to be Anthony Hopkins, hands down, for sure, with what we know about this voting body.
That's right.
We know what they like and what they don't like. They like, more traditional classic performances from established, like, just use all the coded language you want. They love old white men. For that reason, I want to say Benedict Cumberbatch. After last year's bullshit, come at me again in the comments. I dare you. Let's talk about it. I'm so mad. Such a bad taste in my mouth. I obviously am not boycotting the Oscars, but that was as close as I've ever been. I'm not going Anthony Hopkins here. I'm going Will Smith. It's gotta be. If it's not, then we can revisit that conversation, because I won't be okay. I will be calling out of work for at least a week and then just like throwing up for 5 straight days. There's no way that it's anything but Will Smith, right? Right, Renee? Right, that's what you put, right?
You and I we're on the same sword right here. We're dying on the same sword. So if all of a sudden we hear them announce Javier Bardem, then we know there's something weird going on, or something like that, But I think one of the main reasons why I also want Will Smith to win is because if he ever gets nominated again, then I really want him to say to everyone, "I'm gonna get me the next two."
Is that? I'm sorry, I don't know the reference.
In King Richard, remember, it's like, "You got the next Michael Jordan. I got me the next two." So I really want him to say that.
I didn't even hear Will Smith's voice with that. You're right. He did. Okay. Your impression of Will Smith deserves its own awards. Will Smith's impression of Richard Williams. We talked about it before. Him doing the hair and the voice, and just doing all that. I think it's more than the vanity performance of something like the when he does Ali. I think that this one deserves it. This has to be his winner. Gotta be. I don't trust the voters. I'm still sticking with Will Smith. I'm just sure, with the Charlie Brown and the football. There's let me take another kick at it. I'm going to definitely say Will Smith for sure.
Nice. All right. We got 2 more to go. These are the big 2 right here. So next is directing. So we have Belfast, Drive My Car, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. Blake, you're on the clock.
Power of the Dog feels the most surefire thing, especially of the higher categories. Put me down for Power of the Dog. No need to overthink it, right? Renee?
No, 100%. Okay. I also got Power of the Dog. This is Jane Campion. This is her win. I think, despite some of the more recent, flubs as far as Twitter, spreads and what she's been saying and certain things, we already talked about and covered in our previous episode. I think that's not going to deter any of the voters from voting. If The Power of the Dog was really going to get the big nod for the movie it has to be directing. And I think this is her category to win right here.
This is the most like sort of like NFL coach statistics. Like this is the most white man's game in it's so bad with the directing
Yeah.
category. I
Hmm.
think that the voters know that. I think that this year it makes so much sense. I'm going to go and say it right now. Put me in jail for inciting a riot because if like let's just say Steven Spielberg wins, I think they should burn down the theater and also okay, I'm not going to actually suggest that. That would be I. It's one of those weird things. Like it'd be hard to be surprised with just the history of the Oscars. It's got to be
Mm.
Jane Campion. It has to be.
Yeah. I think they're gonna
Fool me
save.
82 times. That's on
Yeah.
me, sure, but I still got to go Jane Campion. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, I think they're gonna award Spielberg his last Oscar when he finally directs his own biopic. That's going to be his crowning achievement award. So I think that's coming for sure. So they're going to let him go on this one and give it to Campion for sure. So we're here. We're at the final category. The big money maker right here
Dun, dun,
is
dun,
Best
dun.
Picture. Ba-bam. So Best Picture, we have Belfast, Coda, Space Jam 2. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Dear Evan Hansen. Oh no, sorry, that was my own little scribble.
Oh my gosh.
Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. So in our previous episode, we talked about each of these nominees. Some good things to say, some, questionable choices here. I think it's to be said again how in my perfect world, Drive My Car will run away with this category. Let's have another Parasite situation. Let's spread the love and awareness of Japanese cinema. I think that will be fantastic. Nightmare Alley, well deserved of a nomination here. Again, a brilliant movie that not a lot of people have seen yet, and I think more and more people should see for sure. But even though The Power of the Dog is the one that's been getting a lot of the big mentions and a lot of talk and exposure within the award circuit, I think just based off recent history and recent ceremonies and where the landscape has slowly shifted to, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say Coda is going to win Best Picture at this year's Oscars.
Did you just say what I think you said?
What?
You
I
said
said
Coda?
I said
You're going
Coda.
Coda. You're going
I'm
Coda.
going Coda. I'm going
And we're
Coda.
doing scored. We're doing scored ballots or ranked ballots where you'll lose more points for putting Coda. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's gonna lose.
Okay. Bring
Uh,
it. Bring it.
now, oh man. Okay, all right. Hear me out. Yeah, Coda. I feel like it's the second choice. I feel like there's a lot of momentum building for Coda. It feels like false momentum to me. Somebody was talking about the different awards here, and basically, with when you have ranked choice voting, and then the first one to get nominated, their votes go elsewhere, and so they were really trying to figure out what's the first one to get knocked out, and then where do those votes go, and then the next one to get knocked out. So I think Coda might get the second most, be in the most in the second slot in the most ballots. I don't think that the 10, 9, 8, 7, all those other, I don't think that those are going to Coda before they go to Power of the Dog. I think
Mhm.
that whenever Coda isn't someone's second choice, I think it would go Power of the Dog then next, especially when we're looking at the movies that are probably going to get locked out, and those are the more traditional cinematic films. The person who was also going through this said that Coda was directed like a TV movie of the week, and
Oh
just the
wow.
most basic ass there was nothing special about it in the directing, the artistry of it. The story was phenomenal, and it's going to be
Mm.
the crowd pleaser in that way. For family movie night, it might be the best picture winner. It definitely shouldn't be a few of these other ones. I've also similarly heard in that same we often will see movies winning that are just the least offensive and the
Mm-hmm.
biggest crowd pleaser. So like Belfast might win in that way too, but Belfast more like Bell Slow. I'm going Power of the Dog, baby.
Ew.
Definitely, you're the power of the dog now, man.
That's right.
Definitely give it to the power of the dog, in my opinion. It feels smart. It feels safe. It feels correct. It feels like it's going to be have the most number one spots on people's ballots and get the most back up to people who don't have it in their number one spot.
Mhm.
I think that when you do have Coda and Belfast, who are both in that second and third choice, those might be splitting for each other just because of the kind of movies that they are. I can't keep thinking about it. I got to go Power of the Dog.
All right. So locked in, Blake, Power of the Dog, myself, Coda. That's right. I ain't changing it.
Wow,
That's what I'm
I
going
love it.
with. So
Do it,
so
man.
there you have it.
You
There
might be
you
right.
have it. Those are our official ballot choices for this year's Oscars. Again, would love to see what you guys think. If you fill out your own ballots, feel free to share it with us. If you think in any of these categories we are completely nuts, if you think I'm nuts for choosing Coda, come at me. You think Blake is nuts for choosing Flea for animated feature film? Go get at him. You know,
I
let's
might
talk
be.
about it.
I might agree with you. You can talk me out of it very, very easily. But all of my picks are 100% correct, and I'm standing by them right now. Watch me get a perfect ballot.
There you
This
go.
is it again. Let's go.
Let's go. It's going to be exciting. And again, we love this time of year. This is our Super Bowl, so we are going to have a lot of fun. And stay tuned to the channel for more stuff coming. If you are not sick and tired of us talking about the Oscars just yet, one more final episode to come, and that could very well be our live reaction and commentary to the live broadcast. Stay tuned to the channel and stay tuned to our social media so that you can see updates for that when it comes around down the line. So, Blake, any last thoughts, feelings about this, the show itself? What are you looking forward to? What have you?
The Oscars have never disappointed me before. They've always been a perfect production, and I always have a good time and never. So, this is definitely my Super Bowl. It's also the most stressful day of the year. I might go bow tie this year and wear
Nice.
formal wear. We'll see. I'm excited. We're gonna have our little Oscars party. I'm already picking out snacks. I booked it. I'm excited for this year's Oscars. I'm not excited for the host situation. I'm not
I'm not
excited for
either.
the
Yeah.
conversation about before, during, and after the Oscars. I'm definitely not excited that they pushed a handful of some really important awards to before the live broadcast. I understand that they're going to put video of them during the broadcast and they'll be tweeting them out, something like that. There's so many things about it that I'm not excited about. I don't stand by this voting body, this TV show, none of it. But I love, love, love movies, and even though they might not always get it right, I this is my award show. This is the one that I most attuned to every single year. It's been so fun having these conversations with you. I might
Yeah,
not be
same.
able to do a live broadcast if I lock myself in the closet and cry after some of the early awards are announced, or depending on how the hosting goes. It should be fun. These are funny. I'm excited to see the hosts. I'm excited to see what they do. You never know what to expect. Anything could happen, folks. It's probably going to be a fiery shit show, and I can't fucking wait for it. I'm hyped. Um, Look me up on Letterboxd, Blake Wolf SSN, BLAKEWOLFSSN. That's where to find me. Trying to get more people on that app. It's the best movies app possible. Otherwise, let us know. I am curious. Put it in the comments, viewers, if which how you did with this year's ballot. If you're filling yours out at home, I'm so upset because that year that I had the perfect ballot, I didn't have anyone to brag to. It wasn't part of an office pool or anything like that. Throw it in the comments. Let us know the upsets. Let us know. I'm excited. As much agita as it gives me. This is the best day of the year. I'm hyped.
Yeah, and as you could see, he is stressed out because I know him, and I know for a fact he is rethinking at least 5 of his
All
categories
of them,
that
every
he
single
went through.
one.
Okay, well, all of them. But again, we go through this every year, so I know the whole spiel. I know how it goes down. If Blake ends up in the closet or in the bathroom, I'll just interview him through the door. I don't care. We'll figure it out. We'll have fun. But yes, definitely let us know how your picks turned out. We'll definitely talk about our results and how everything turns out in a future episode or what have you. But you could follow Lowkey Geek on social through all the links that you see in the description of this episode and what you see on screen. And we will talk to all of you very soon. So until then, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, enjoy the Oscars, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.